Hey guys, AJ here from 3D Printing Systems again. Got another maintenance video for you today, how to replace the extruder block on your Upbox 3D printer. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is remove the print head from the printer. So taking the cover off the rainbow cable, moving the rainbow cable from the print head, and then popping the print head out of its magnet mount. There's a couple of reasons why we might need to replace the extruder block. Now it is really handy to have one of these spare on hand in case you do get any blockages. It can be hard to tell whether it's with the nozzle or with the extruder column or the extruder block that it attaches to. So really easy to have one on hand, and then you can clean this later and figure it out later. Other reason you might need to replace it is simply that it's failed, which can happen over time. It does a lot of work heating and cooling, so they will need replacing a couple of times within the lifetime of your printer. Alright, so let's take the print head apart. First we'll remove the fan from the top of the print head, then holding the motor in your left hand and the print head in your right hand, slide them apart, maybe even give them a bit of a wiggle because it can be quite tight on there. Right, print head covers off. Now what we're looking to do is take out this extruder block here. So the next part we'll need to do is release the heatsink. That's this black metal part, because that's what's holding it in place. Right, now with your printer you should have received a few Allen keys. We've got the smallest one and we've got the medium sized one. So we'll start with the medium sized one to loosen these two screws. Alright, so we've loosened our two screws. Now we're going to slide the extruder block out. Now when you are doing this, be very careful that you don't bend or damage any of these wires, because that can cause your extruder block to stop working if it is still functioning. Right, so we'll just slide that straight out, and you'll notice underneath there is a small metal plate here as well, called a lock block. Now what this does is it helps sandwich your extruder assembly in place so that it can't move during printing. If that wasn't there, you'll find that your extruder assembly sits very loosely, and that can definitely affect the quality of your printing. So leave that where it is. If it does happen to fall out, don't worry. There's a notch on one side. That needs to be sitting up inside your extrude block, just like this, so you can slot it back into place. There we go. Alright, so next we want to take out the cable from the print head circuit board. So it is quite tight in there. We will need to loosen these two screws using the smallest Allen key supplied this time. Alright, now that we've loosened these two screws, that'll allow the print head circuit board to pop up slightly. Alright, so making sure you don't pull on the wires, using your pair of pliers to pop the cable out. There it comes. Now that we've got this loose, we've got our old extruder assembly out, we can put the new one back in. Now we want to make sure that this one goes in the same way as it came out. So looking at the bends in the old one, we can see the blue wires on the right hand side, and it's only going to plug in one way anyway because we've got those connectors on top that located in place. Plug that back in, shift our cables slightly to the side so they can go around the feeder hole, and then we can push the circuit board back into place and retighten these two screws. Right, cables plugged back in. Next we need to insert the extruder block back in between the lock block and the heatsink, and make sure that the lock block is sitting in place. If you need to, just loosen off the screws a little bit more and make sure it's sitting flush with the bottom there. Right, and that's all the way in place. Now we can retighten it back up. Now while you're doing this, make sure you don't put any extra bends in the wire either, because we'll see how it sits in place when we go to put the print head cover back on. Alright, so we're just going to move our yellow extruder cable towards the drive gear cover, holding it there with our thumb, and we'll slide the cover back on. Now the important thing is to make sure that on this side, where you've got the cables exiting the extruder block, that the yellow cable fits back into the slot just here at the bottom of the print head cover. Right, so it's gone in there nicely, cover's back on nice and tight, put the fan cable back in, and our new extruder assembly is ready to go. Print another day.